So we're going to talk about something today that I haven't spent a ton of time talking about yet here in 2018, but has recently come to the forefront due to mostly other YouTubers. So I felt like now is a good time to talk about it again, because when attention is being brought to a particular topic and it's attention we want Nintendo to notice, the more of us that do it at the exact same time, the louder the voice becomes, and maybe Nintendo finally hears what we have to say. Now, what we're talking about, of course, is the ability to back up saves on Switch, or really the lack thereof. And I know some of you might say, this is a tired topic. Why are you talking about this again? Nintendo doesn't owe us anything. Yada, 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 yada. And, you know, it's interesting when we talk about this because the ability to back up saves is kind of a basic feature of consoles. Forget Netflix, forget all that other stuff. The basic functionality of a console includes backing up saves. When we were younger, in my younger days, I'm 32, or going to be 32. So when I was playing NES, if you had like the Legend of Zelda game, your save would be on the cartridge. So if anything happened to your system, well, your save wasn't on the system in the first place. And that's kind of how things went for a while with Nintendo anyways, where you would have saves locally on on the cartridge. And then eventually memory cards came along as we got older, and you were able to put save data on the cartridge or on a memory card. Sometimes both. Sometimes you could copy the save files over. So you, at that point, backup saves started to become a thing. This is more so in the 90s and early 2000s, where people were starting to be able to back up their save files, even sometimes get them transferred off of their system onto their computer for safekeeping. Obviously, we know some people then went ahead and used those save files for emulation and all that stuff, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that if something ever happened to their system or their cartridge or their game or their disc, they still had their save files, and so when they bought a new system, got a new version of the game and put it in, they could restore their save data. This has been around for, about 20 years at least in gaming, if not a little bit longer. And this includes Nintendo, because you've been able to do this on Nintendo systems for a long time. The functionality we're talking about and being able to back up saves, the Wii could do it. The DS could do it. The 3DS could do it, and the Wii U could do it. But the Switch can't. And it's really, really strange that here we sit a little bit over a year out from when the system came, and we still don't have an ability to do it. And a lot of people tell me, don't worry about it, we're going to get cloud backup saving on Nintendo's ecosystem when they launched the online system in September. Like a year and a half after the system launched. And that to me is not good enough. The cloud saving itself isn't even good enough. That's a good option to have for some people, but what about people that don't connect their systems online? As an example, Switch is a platform we take on the go. What if you just don't have internet access where you are? You just play physical games, you never download updates. What about those people? Well, the easy solution is obviously often the ability to back up games like they did on Wii U. Let me give you an example of how backups worked on Wii U. And by the way, this functionality was on Wii U day one. In order to back up save data, you have to have at least one USB storage device that has been formatted to work with Wii U. Your system also needs to have the latest system update applied. And you might say, oh, that's not day one. That's just the way it is in general with backups. Whenever you go to use their backup system, one of the first things they do is they check to see if your system's updated to the latest version. If you don't have an online connection, maybe it won't even attempt to do that check. I'm not 100% sure. I've always had my system connected online. But I actually backed up my save data like 3 days after I got Wii U. So it is what it is. I did it to an external hard drive rather than a USB, but whatever. It was over USB. With the latest system update, dates were added to all save data. There we go. That's why. They added dates to the save data. When backing up save data, please note the date of the most recent copy to avoid accidentally copying over your latest saves. To back up your save data, you will need to copy the save data to a new location. Be sure to read the notes on which location will become your primary location for this save data. These will be located in corresponding pop-ups. Follow the following steps to back up data to a USB storage device. Follow the steps to save data from USB storage device to another USB storage device. So not only could you put data on one USB storage device, you could transfer that data between USB storage devices or copy it over and have multiple multiple backups. And this is just with a local thumb drive or any sort of storage medium that you could just plug into a USB device. And the thing is, you might say, well, the Switch, it doesn't have USB devices on it unless you have it docked. Which, by the way, because you can dock it, means that you can use USB. But whatever. Guess what? The 3DS had it too, and that doesn't have USB. So it says, the save data backup feature on 3DS allows you to back up save data from downloadable 3DS software and most virtual console games. Now, again, we're talking about downloads. It's not perfect here because save data was saved locally on cartridges and all. It's not perfect on 3DS, but it at least had the feature available in some cases. It says you cannot back up save data from retail versions of Nintendo 3DS software, which, again, that sucks, but you can create a total of 30 save data backups. Again, limitations of the 3DS. Backups of save data are stored on the SD card inserted into your system. And then it goes through how to do it. And I just went through it for... And again, I'm not going to go through all the various steps to back up data on 3DS. And not a perfect system, of course, by any stretch of the imagination. But it was there. So... these are features that Nintendo's, the 3DS can do in part better than the Switch. The Wii U could do massively better than Switch. And yet, all we've gotten are the following words from Reggie Fils-Aimé acknowledging the desire for backups last year. You're talking to someone who has completed 120 shrines, and I think I'm at 400 Korok seeds and growing in Breath of the Wild. So I understand what it's like putting a lot of time into content, and the thought of that content not being there. We're aware of the concern, certainly. Nintendo is a consumer-oriented company, and we want to make our consumers happy. We're aware of the concern, and it's an area we're going to continue working on to make sure we can alleviate some of those consumer fears of having content-based issues. Because of the type of platform we have, it's something that is on the go as well as connected in the home environment. There are some added complications. It's not as simple as a piece of hardware that never moves and is always connected in an online environment. This is where I'm confused. The solution's obvious. You offer two different ways to back up. And before you think this is crazy, that, letting you back up to micro SD cards, or letting you back up to a thumb drive you can plug into the dock, or letting you back up to a cloud, before you think this is a completely insane thing, that's exactly what you can do on Xbox and PlayStation 4. You can back up your saves to a local thumb drive or hard drive, or you can back up your saves online in the cloud, or you can do both. That's the crazy thing. This isn't even a new idea or a new concept. But here's the thing. The Switch does none of it. Offering, even if the only solution they offered right now is cloud backups, which obviously does not help when people aren't connected to the internet, at least it's something. Offering nothing puts every single Switch owner at risk. Every single one of us, the 18 to 20 million of us that exist out in the world, the new ones that are buying the Switch every single day, every single one of us is at risk on a daily basis. Right now, as I'm recording this, my 4-year-old son is playing on my Switch. Maybe that's not such a smart idea, especially with this current save issue, but if he drops my Switch, if he throws my Switch, if he spills a drink on my Switch, guess what? If my Switch doesn't boot up anymore, I lost all my save data. And again, you can say it's my fault, but it doesn't matter whose fault it is on why the Switch broke. The matter is there's no way for me to get my save data back. And every other consumer electronic in the world has a backup feature of sorts. Your computer creates backups. Did you know that? If your computer crashes, it can load a backup because there's always an image being taken of your computer. Your computer crashes. Oftentimes, when you load up, like when Premiere, I've had Premiere crash before, and then my computer crashes. When I load Premiere back up, many times it loads back up the projects I was working on with save states in there. Same with Photoshop. Same with my desktop on Windows 10. Same with pretty much every consumer electronic out there. My phone, it backs up images and videos to the cloud. It doesn't need to do that, and I can also back them up locally on my computer or any other device that I can connect to the USB drive. It's just baffling to me that here we are in 2018, and we're more than a year out, and Switch does not offer any capability to back up saves, and it needs to be offering multiple ways to do it, not just one. This obviously came to light. You know, a lot of you guys might know that Spawnwave, he actually had his Switch break with the Nyko dock. The Nyko dock bricked his Switch, and he can't charge it anymore. It means all the save data is gone if he gets a new Switch. This is a troubling sign from Nintendo in terms of not giving a crap about the consumer experience. This, like many things, should have been their day one on Switch. But even if we want to give them an excuse that, you know what, things weren't fully ready day one, should have been, but they're not, let's give them some time. Well, that time should have been mere months, because their other systems had it right away. That's what's confusing. 3DS, Wii U, right away you could back up things. Right away on Wii U you could back up things. Switch comes out, we're sorry, we're more than a year out, and it's too complicated for us to figure out. Even though you could put micro SDs in the Switch, even though the dock has USB ports, even though there's internet connections, it's too difficult. That's what Reggie told us. It's too difficult. That's why they haven't solved the problem. Oh, Reggie. Oh, Nintendo. This is why we as fans need to draw attention to this. And I understand if it's not a big deal to you and you're willing to give them a pass and you're going to keep telling me wait till September, then we might have cloud saving with the online system, which we might. Nintendo has never said they're going to have cloud saving. I think it's pretty presumptuous of us to just assume Nintendo is going to offer something they've never offered. Remember, 3DS doesn't have cloud saving. Wii U doesn't have cloud saving, so should we really believe Switch, a system Nintendo openly admits is not always connected to the internet, is going to have cloud saving? We don't know that's even going to be the case, but at this point, I'm not even asking for cloud saving. I'm asking for any possible way to back up save data, and right now there's none. So as it stands, every single Switch owner, willingly or unwillingly, is at risk of losing their save data on a daily basis. There have been Switches that have bricked without anyone even touching them. The batteries sometimes rapidly expand, and there's a hardware issue. You could have a defective system, and what sucks about the defective system is the issues might not show up till months later. So as I said, this is an issue that needs to be solved. And it needs to be solved. It should be actually be like Nintendo's number one priority, if we're being honest. But until enough of us make noise and make these demands, not just known enough for Reggie to make a random comment back in November, but known enough that Nintendo has such a swath of demand for it that they have to do something about it immediately, nothing's going to change. Nintendo's not going to care. The Switch is selling like hotcakes. They have a rapid success on their hands, and there's a rapid issue with it. This is the biggest issue facing Switch today. It's not the lineup. It's not the lack of Netflix. It's not the lack of the paid online service. It's not the lack of huge AAA exclusive games. It's not the third-party support. It's not, better Joy-Cons or the missing D-pad or even bend gate or anything else. None of those all pale in comparison to the fact that all of us every day live in fear, or at least should live in fear, that one time we're going to turn on our Switch and all of our save data is gone with no backup. Or our Switch won't turn on at all, which is even worse. So, Nintendo, I love you. I love your company for the joy you have brought me, not necessarily because I care how much money you make, but as a company, you have provided many, many great memories in my life, including on Switch, and Switch might be my favorite platform of all time. But I swear, if I wake up one of these days, or I get my Switch back from after my child plays it, and my 700 plus hours of game time is just gone, not just the counter, but my actual save data is gone, and I have to start every game from scratch, I might be done. I don't know if I can bounce back from that. I know that might be an exaggeration because I love Nintendo too much to be completely done. But we need to be demanding that Nintendo fixes this sooner rather than later before more of us are affected. The more Switches that sell, the more this is going to happen. So please, guys, please, we need to get Nintendo to change this as soon as possible. I even think waiting till September for a potential cloud save system it's too far. We should have had this feature a year ago. Anyways, folks, I'm Nathaniel Ruffledance from Nintendo Prime, and if you like this video, you know what to do. And if you dislike the video, hit that dislike button, subscribe for more content, and as always, folks, I'll catch you in the next one.